started, I do want to introduce, we have a brand new Parks Commission member, Diana Wallace. And Diana, do you want to introduce yourself or say anything about?
Yes, I'm Diana Wallace, third generation Rolling Wood resident.
Whoa.
Am I supposed to be? Good? Oh, okay. And I'm just very looking forward to serving on the commission, being of service. And it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Where do you live?
Oh, 2603 Rolling Wood Drive,
Okay, great.
And you said you're what generation?
third generation.
Third.
You're
I knew
likely-
you were second. I didn't realize you were third.
My grandparents lived here, my parents lived here, and we lived here.
Wow.
That's amazing. The
Well-
same house or different houses?
Different houses,
Okay.
3 different houses.
I'm really glad you're on the park commission.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to be here.
I wish
It's
we
a
had-
great honor to me. Thank you.
Good. Well, I wish we had an aerial of what Rolling would look like with each of those generations built out.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Very different.
Unrecognizable. When we first moved in, there were about 3 houses in all of the area of Rolling Wood. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So what year were your grandparents? Did they move here? Do you know?
They moved here in about 1948.
Okay, my husband's family moved here in 47, but they're on North Peak Road.
My grandparents were on Pickwick Lane, Diane Dillard's old house.
Oh, okay.
That was theirs first. That was where we first grew up.
Wow.
All right.
Sorry, I just also wanted to say we did some adjusting on all the mics, so if everyone could please make sure to speak into the mic, just so we can test it out and see how it's working, that would be fantastic.
Okay, well, we'll do roll call to see if we can hear everyone.
Oh,
Say your
Diana
name.
Marie
Your-
Wallace.
Melissa Morrow.
Don Hudson.
Mary Elizabeth Cofer.
Victoria Johnson.
Do we have anyone joining virtually? No. Okay, great. Well, the first thing that we have is public comments. And I know I have something to say, but I don't know if anyone else does. No? Okay, I'm going to run over there just so you know I'm not the chair right now. Melissa Morrow, 2502 Timberline Drive. In my other roles in Rolling Wood, I'm on the Rolling Wood Women's Club, and I am the parliamentarian. And we had the president called me 2 days ago, just coincidentally, and said that Rolling Wood Women's Club mission is to beautify and improve the relationships and community of Rolling Wood. And they have put out a request for proposals. The Parks Commission is one of those groups that can suggest a proposal for them to fund. They have no proposals on their docket, and so one of the reasons she was calling me was to ask, will you ask the Parks Commission if there are any projects they want to do? That includes City Hall, City Council. So this is sort of a general call to anyone who has something to beautify the community in the public spaces. Please send that on to the Rolling Wood Women's Club.
And I'm actually working on that now. We've been getting our numbers for the materials that we need for the butterfly garden. I won't need as much as we needed in the past because, as I said, everything we've done so far was to make it sustainable. But yes.
Great.
Dawn
Send
and
that
I
to
are
the
working
president.
on that. So if anybody else wants to jump in, let me know.
Okay. Right.
Yay, Women's Club.
That's right. All right, so the next thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the January 9th Park Commission meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second, and all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great, motion carries. All right, update from Western Hills Little League and Western Hills Girls Softball.
All right, thank you very much, Steve Frank. So registration just finished. Speaking more for softball, I don't know, Little League's probably around the same time frame as us. So we will have, I think as mentioned before, we'll have teams at every age group this season, so that's great. We haven't had 14U in a while, so we had enough girls age up that we do have a 14U team. And we will, I think tentatively said this last time, but going through it again, our first games will be March 2nd in the park. We will definitely have some games, then we'll be off for 2 weekends because spring break. Then we'll be March 23rd, but we actually will be traveling, so we won't actually have games, but I'm sure Little League will. Then we don't play Easter weekend. I believe Little League's the same way. And then we'll be playing weekends from 4/6 to 5/11's our last weekend. One of the things we've done or tried to do in the past, and I think I mentioned, we have kind of cycled down to April 20th is the day where we're going to try to have all our teams play here. Little League will be playing here, so we're going to try to do something a little bit more on that day. We've called it kind of Western Hills Day in the past. We'll do shaved ice, some other things or whatever.
What date is that?
April 20th. And then we'll decide, we're talking maybe a food truck, but we'll get that all worked out. We understand what happened last time, so we'll kind of figure out what we do from other food, or we just go with shaved ice, because that's usually the main draw. I think other than that, did work on the screens, got them up. I know they're kind of torn a little bit, so I'll be ordering new ones, but at least right now they're all attached. I do have some comments and complaints from parents and people about restrooms. Is there do we have a form or something we fill out if we see repairs, or do I just email you directly? Okay. Yeah, I think it was, I mean, I know the men's room's not the nicest, but I was getting some from the women's room, and I don't ever know what's going on in there. So they were saying like the latch doesn't work on the door and stuff like that, so. But if we could check on, I'm just gonna email you and stuff. Okay. And I think that's pretty much it. I guess I know some of that was mentioned, but I'm curious how the grass and all that'll kind of, because I know 3, 4, and 5 is pretty much all brown. I don't know if that's expected or what. I know there was talks about seeding for, I don't know, there was discussion of doing ryegrass in between and stuff, but I guess that didn't happen. So I'm curious to at least hear turf maintenance going forward, I guess. I know field 2 and 1 look a little bit more green, but I'm sure that's more weeds than actual grass. So. But that's it. Open to any questions, comments. I do have one more, but I'll answer questions too.
I was just gonna ask, we talked about having a schedule up. Is there something by the gates that now says that softball and baseball are in season?
There's one that says starting soon that we put out last week, knowing that this was the first week. We don't yet have a full schedule, but as soon as we have one, we'll be happy to post it.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm still working on practice days and such. I know some teams have started practice, but next week will probably be the big week or whatever.
Okay.
And remind me, because I don't remember, is there a sign next to the gate, like the dog entry gate, that if there's a game or practice going on, that dogs are not allowed free roam in there?
That's what the signs currently say is, practice is starting soon. If organized play, please no dogs on the field. We can look into getting a more permanent sign like that if we need to, but currently that's just what we have kind of as the reminder as things get
Okay.
started. Yeah.
Great, yeah, we may want to have a permanent one, just so people feel like it's,
I think one thing is we were trying to, we may need it, but we were also trying to, unless it's a real problem, we're trying to limit the number of signs, just because we start getting so many signs. But if it becomes necessary, yes, I think we should consider permanent. But otherwise, I hope we don't have to do that.
Yeah, that was kind of the direction we had in the past, was not unless it became a real issue.
Okay.
to
Yeah, I mean, people are gonna read it and follow it, and read it and not follow it, because, I mean, I'm still up there, and we have permanent signs on 1 and 2 that say no pets, and people still take them out on there, so it's,
It is nice
it's
to
an
be able to.
uphill battle, but
Yeah. I do like a coach having the opportunity to
at
say,
least point to a sign.
point to it and
Yeah.
just say, hey, I don't wanna be the enforcer here, but for the safety of the kids, that helps me.
Yeah, I agree.
also usually get a more compliant look on the face of the person when they see there's a sign there that backs me up, so,
Okay.
yeah. Okay,
The only other thing and I think I've mentioned, but one of the things we're looking into is drainage in front of our dugout in field 2. It's on the third base side. That at least seems to be the lowest point in the park, because there's hill running off the field house, and our field kind of slopes that way too. So we've always had issues with flooding in that third base dugout. So at least right now we're getting bids. Little League did a French drain. My first discussions with them, they said the French drain wouldn't work as well, because I think they said because we have a dirt infield, that too much dirt would get in the French drain and it might clog. So they're looking at doing an actual grate thing that's safe for the kids to walk on and things like that. So once I get that bid or whatever, I'll be notifying Ashley and or the commission.
And that's which dugout?
The third base dugout, which is the one closest to the field house on field 2. Yeah, there's a hill coming off the
Oh, yeah.
field house, and yeah, it always floods.
Mhm.
So that's really the big, I mean, we're doing some field maintenance, but that's kind of a thing that'll have to be done with, something into the park, because I'll have to run a drain or whatever.
Do y'all have any sprinklers over in that area or not?
We do have sprinklers all on the field, so they,
Because that can also contribute, sometimes.
yeah, and we try not to run them too much unless it's needed, but, it's usually the rain. When it rains really hard,
Yeah,
it's a losing cause,
yeah.
so
Okay.
that's report.
You
Yeah.
said you were gonna get a bid for a French
Yeah,
drain or something?
KMI, who's
Okay.
doing all the field stuff for Little League and helping out with us too.
Mhm.
That's their job, is athletic fields, so
Okay.
they're the ones that are looking into it, and I'll, figure that out.
All right, thank you.
At least right now, we're talking about the digging will happen on field 2. There is a drain, if you know where the first batting cage is, closest to the field house.
Right?
There's a drain right behind that then runs a pipe, and so we're looking to connect into that drain and not have to run a pipe to the
A new
woods or
pipe,
whatever. So
Yeah.
there's already one kind of there, so it's just getting to there, and we're gonna try to limit digging in on our field and not on the park or whatever.
Ashley, do you know if that is something that's been considered with the erosion control?
I don't know if that's part of the, like retaining wall situation up there. Probably not with that one specifically, but possibly with the entire park drainage, proposals that we're waiting for.
Okay.
Yeah, because we will be, at some point, I guess, putting in the retaining wall, to deal with the runoff from the field house roof and I guess some of the area around the field house, to slow it down before it runs down the hill. I don't know, I'm sure they'll do something. There's a swale there too that ties into that pipe that runs along beside the batting cage. So maybe that water could just be gotten into that swale and it would be picked up by that pipe.
Yeah, so where this pipe runs, it actually runs underneath the batting cage and dissipates in between the 2 batting cages.
Yeah.
There's like a nicer grass area there, so and it gets it away from the field house and that hill there.
So it's actually taking it further down?
Correct.
Okay,
And that's what we're trying to tap into or whatever.
okay.
Yeah, we're not trying to put any water on that
Back
hill,
on
'cause that's bad.
That's what I was wondering, what,
No.
yeah, okay, that cleared that up, thank you.
Anything else?
No?
All right, great.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Discussion regarding quarterly park walkthrough report. I know Mary Elizabeth and I did the walkthrough this last time. I don't know if there's anything you wanna elaborate on for that. You know, I know we talked about having, the police and, Izzy sort of give us a report
Mhm.
about things that have happened.
Sure, we have police quarterly, so we just had
Okay.
one last month, so we
Okay.
have that on the calendar. And then Izzy, he's not gonna be able to reliably make meetings depending on
Sure.
his schedule, so that's why we've got the report in here, and any questions y'all have, I'm happy to share those with him, or get him to prepare something for our next meeting. But I can just speak a little bit to the format of the walkthrough document. We're open to any tweaks if y'all have any other way you'd prefer to see these presented. But what we've tried to do is leave the previous park walkthrough here and pull up any items that were still ongoing, had not been addressed yet, things like that, and bring those up to kind of the current standing. So you'll see kind of grayed out is everything that was from the previous park through. We brought up everything that was a carryover from the previous walkthrough that's still being addressed, and then also added walkthrough items identified that were new. And so what we'll plan to do is the meeting directly after the walkthrough, we'll plan to put this document together, and then Izzy and his team are now gonna be working through all of this information, and so in a couple months before the next walkthrough, we'll bring this back with comments and any kind of notes about what has been addressed. So that's our plan, but we are happy and open to take any direction on that.
Great,
I think that'll be
It's
really
nice
helpful.
that you note progress
yeah.
Yeah.
on this, that's
Mhm.
good.
That's really nice.
Mm-hmm. Great. All right, well, let's move on then. Update on outstanding projects and city council items through Memorial Tree Project and park drainage.
I can speak to the Memorial Tree Project. So, City Council did, take a look at that and the information that the Park Commission sent over. Generally, they liked it, but they said they would like a lot more detailed information. So I think the purpose of sending it was to just see if they had an appetite for it,
Mhm.
which it seems like they do. They would like Park Commission to bring back a more detailed plan, including what, like, the plaques would look like, that kind of idea, if there are gonna be plaques. And they talked about, reserving these trees only for people who, have a demonstrated history of community involvement or service to the community, as opposed to just it becoming a memorial park, the whole thing.
Okay, hold on, that was community involvement,
History of community involvement or service to the community.
okay?
And they'd like an estimate of costs. And finding a location, which I know you're gonna work with an arborist on that is consistent with the drainage improvements that are coming along and with the drainage
I
plan.
can get all that.
So that's the update from that going to city council.
Great.
So if is a subcommittee you guys wanna work on that, that'd be great.
Mhm.
We can do that.
Do we have a group, that would like to be on the subcommittee for, establishing that?
Well, I'd like to continue doing that,
Okay.
that's what I've been doing.
Okay.
I'll work with you on
And,
that.
yeah, 'cause Nicole was working with me on that before.
Okay,
And Nicole, Lori was,
okay,
so I would assume Lori still will.
all right, so the three of y'all will
Okay.
continue?
Very good, thank you.
Maybe you can give us some more detailed information at the next meeting.
And if y'all need anything from us, additional information about the park, or if we can help, just reach out to us.
Perfect, thank you.
Yes, of course. And I have a quick update on the drainage part of that item. So there are kind of two separate proposals we have running. At the last council meeting, the city council approved to have an engineered kind of an engineered proposal created for the retaining wall at the upper park by the field house. There were multiple options on this proposal, and they chose that one, and then also this other drainage area kind of out on the corner here at the corner of Nixon and Gentry. Some improvements to that so that it would be less of a drainage issue into the street. So those are the two parts of that they approved. That is being worked on currently. I don't know when we'll have that back yet from the person who submitted the proposal, but those have been approved and are in progress.
I was there for the meeting with the engineer, and I know that part of the issue, I think that's holding us back some, is we're still looking to what happens with this building. And I
Part
think,
of it.
yeah, so, you don't wanna reinvent the wheel.
Right.
So I guess that's why we're kinda stopping there maybe.
Kind of it. That's why I think it's a little bit piecemeal, but they're focusing mostly on that portion and then this portion. We still have in the works a full drainage proposal for the entire park. Our main engineer, our city engineer, is working on that currently. We're close to a draft, so we know we'll have something by the February city council meeting. So that will come then. Again, it might be a thing, they had a lot of discussion about that last month, about whether we wanna, go forward with that while we're still unsure about this building, but nevertheless, it's been prepared, and, we'll hopefully have that at the February council
And
meeting.
I had thought when they worked on that, did all that work on that one field, is it field 3, that I
The
thought
new
that.
grass,
Do what?
the new grass.
Yeah, I thought that was supposed to, they kept saying it was gonna address the drainage problem, but it obviously didn't.
Fields 3, 4, and 5? you're
Yeah,
talking about?
when they did that, it didn't address the drainage problem there, so I'm sure they're looking at all that.
Sure, yeah,
You
I
can
mean,
walk through after a rain, you can see.
right.
It's kind of flat and level. That's,
Yeah, and I mean, there may have been some kind of, heavy traffic in a space on that side, which was why it was puddling extra, so I think they might have filled that in and cleaned that up, but I don't know that it was gonna solve like the entire,
Yeah, I
field
guess that
issue.
was just hopes and dreams.
yes.
Speaking of the grass, has the irrigation out there been,
It has been off for the winter because
Been
if
off.
we keep it on and keep the lines full and then it freezes, then we
Right.
end up with breaks
so we
everywhere,
just drained it?
I think we're pretty close now to opening it back up or turning
Okay.
it back on once we know that we're not gonna have, additional freezes to worry about. Cause it is a process to have to bleed all the lines and turn everything off, so I
Had the
think we're
leaks
back.
been fixed before that?
Yes,
Okay, great.
yes, from anything from a previous, issue had all been fixed.
So maybe once it comes on, that grass will green.
Well,
Hopefully, yes, yeah.
Maybe they can seed it with their eye at that time.
Mm-hmm, possibly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, this is great, thank you.
Yes, of course.
All right. All right, well then, does anybody have anything else on 5? All right, we'll move on to 6, discussion possible action on park priorities. I think you all got, information from each of the different people. I do see Chad, Dawn, Mary Elizabeth, Melissa, Victoria, Diana, of course, will want to add your, list. I'd like to take this meeting, since Chad and Lori are not here, to at least start talking about how to prioritize these lists. What are some different strategies? It may be that it's really easy for us to do it, but I think one exercise that would be helpful is if we basically consolidate all of these lists.
I
right,
like that.
eliminate the dupes.
Yeah. And, exactly, eliminate the dupes, and then, I'm just gonna throw this out, we're brainstorming at this point, this is not me saying this is how we're gonna do it. What I've done with our board actually really recently over at WEA is we, had a list of the, items that we wanted to have done. Then we also looked at what our finances were and what was realistic about, what we would be able to do with the current funds that we have. And then we prioritized, we had everyone individually prioritize with one list. And then we consolidated those prioritizations and basically said, hey, just as a, it's kind of a straw poll of this is what the group has sort of ranked. And again, one of the things I want to say is really important about that is that doesn't mean that because we all voted on it, that's it. Like that's what it's now we look at it together as a group and then work on building some consensus around certain ones. I think what generally happens is there's 2 or 3 that we all are like, yeah, slam dunk, we all agree, it's really easy. And then there may be ones that are a little more complicated or they're more expensive and require us to go get more funds. And I'm not necessarily going backwards, but to that end, I believe in our packet we got that the drainage that RCDC approved was going to, there'd still be $19,000 worth of money left for Parks Commission. So if you want to think about, at least right now, that's an easy dollar amount to feel pretty confident that we could do a project in this next year without needing to go find additional funds is $19,000. Again, doesn't mean that we won't try to do a project that's more than that. It's just that's a real easy fruit to pick. So in order to do that process, we are at 12:25. We are all going to leave here no later than 1 o'clock. So do you all want to, we can either take this time to see if we can make that consolidated list, or see how far down we get, or, we can all do this sort of individually and let everything stay same name. But I think it would be helpful for us to look at this.
I like the idea of doing it together.
Yeah, let's do it together. So I apologize to Chad and Lori. So Chad and Lori, just know that, we will take your input, if you have additional comments, about that. And if we take something from your list and put it in, consolidate it with something and you disagree, we will take it back out and let it be separated. Does that sound
So
good
we
to
don't
everybody?
have a list from Laurie on here, or you, right, correct? There,
Yeah, we're just missing Diana
Diana and Laurie.
Lori.
Okay.
So
I,
Diana, you could also speak up, if you
Yeah.
have something in mind now while we're doing this, you could speak up.
All right.
We're
Yeah.
not trying to rush you to come up with a list, but just feel free to speak up while we're doing this.
Yep. All right, so, I almost feel like I need, can you do me a favor? Oh, I kind of have enough. All right, so I'm just gonna start at the top with Chad's. He has artificial turf on field 1, then retaining wall behind field house, and I believe that is the retaining wall that is funded and is moving forward.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
we
I
can
didn't
just
know
take-
that.
So we can just take that one off.
So we can take that off because it's already being prioritized.
Okay.
Do
That's
something with flat area north of pool.
What does he mean by that?
So.
It's
north
the,
of
it's
pool.
the, if you go towards the pool, there's that low area. If you go, say you leave fields 3, 4, and 5, cross the trail going east, it drops down.
Oh, you mean that lower area?
Yeah.
You mean once you get
he
into the
brought that
woods?
up once before, it's like kind of treesy, and he
Okay.
wanted to try to somehow clear that area
Okay.
out
If
for
we
a
do-
trail or
So
something.
we're not, this is just
Okay.
the list.
come out?
It's, we're not making judgments about what's on
Okay,
the list.
okay, got it.
So do something about the flat area north of the pool, and we might look for a better descriptor, so people, maybe on the map, so people will be able to know what he's talking about.
Okay.
Fixed drainage by dugouts.
And that's what you guys are talking about.
That's what we're working on. I think they've solved theirs, but.
So
but I
I'll,
think it's
I'll
just-
clarify
Thank
with
you.
Chad.
Yeah.
If all we're talking about now is, and it sounds like you're going to make a suggestion also about that? I mean, y'all are gonna, are you gonna pay for it?
I mean, it depends what the bid is, I
Okay.
guess, but that was my plan.
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so right now, we feel like we'll leave that on, but I'll put a note that likely, Western Hills, Little League and girls will take care of this. But we'll leave it on the list. Bleachers and shade screens for fields. Improve field house. We might need him to elaborate a little bit more. What does he mean by?
Why don't we just put down field house, cause that's gonna come
Okay.
up again.
Okay, field house. Improve and organize parking on side of park by pool, okay? Fix drainage issues on trail. Keep improving grass on 3, 4, and 5. Fix drainage beneath gazebo. I believe he means
Pavilion.
the
Down
pavilion, lower pavilion.
Lower part, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
That really.
Well,
needs
that's
to be
something
fixed.
that I think Izzy
That's in the
and
works, right?
his people
Yeah.
were gonna do that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna leave it on there
Sure.
because it's,
Sure, that
it's
keeps
on
us
all
on it.
sides. I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, we had, I guess, one side of it, at least staff is prepared to address, and we have that, I think,
Okay.
scheduled for the spring.
I'd love
Okay.
to see what they're gonna do there, but okay, so we're
Lower
gonna leave that on
pavilion?
the list, right?
Yep, we're gonna
Okay.
leave it on. All right, now we're gonna get to Don's. Make Fieldhouse usable as a community gathering spot, move storage elsewhere, make a working snack bar and small kitchen, add some comfortable seating and other amenities.
Maybe we just leave that again as field house and put his notes to the side there?
So, here's my question though.
This is a wish list, remember?
I know it is. No, it is. And so that's why I'm wondering if we should break it up. Because some people may feel great about a snack bar and kitchen, and some people might feel great about seating, but they might not
Want all that?
prioritize.
That's,
No.
yeah, that's,
You know what, I think that makes the most sense, because I think part of it could be done and part not, and you'd be happy with any of it, 'cause it's your wish list, right?
it's a wish list, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
I,
So-
I see that beautiful building, and I know it was designed to be kind of a snack bar for
Yeah.
sporting events.
Mhm.
But it's, I don't know what, I've never even been inside it, but there it is, and it could be a, I don't know, like a,
And we understand that.
Okay.
Let's leave it
So
on the list.
we're not gonna plead the case for these today.
right,
We're
Right.
going to
Great.
just recognize that they're legitimate things to have on the list. And so, this is the part, Don, I'll need your help with. So I'm gonna make, one is, move storage elsewhere, that'll be one. Make a working snack bar and small kitchen will be two. And add some comfortable seating and other amenities will be three, just so that they're broken out. And I'll preface it with make field house usable as a community gathering spot. Then address erosion near the field house.
Now,
Is
aren't
that
we-
in addition to the,
isn't that been funded?
That's the retaining wall,
Yes.
yes.
so
Okay.
that's the erosion you're
So
talking
that's
about?
been funded.
so we
Okay,
can take that
and
off.
we can take that off, plus it's already in Chad's list. So it's,
Okay.
wait, no, we took it off because it's already being taken care of, okay.
Yeah,
Address erosion near the pavilion,
also on Chad's
also on
list.
Chad's list, okay. Delineate parking with lines formed with the same stones used to outline the trail. Set them so they are 1 inch or so above grade. What parking area are you talking about?
The parking area between field 2 and the pool.
Okay,
And my thought it would be,
yeah,
it's a gravel area, and just like we did borders for the butterfly garden, we could just
Hmm.
go in there with grubbing hose and dig that up and put some of those same square stones in it, kind of match. I don't know what else is practical without repaving it and painting it, which I know we won't do.
okay.
So,
Sounds good. So I
Okay.
think I understand what we'll list it as.
okay,
Replace large boulders at long parking lot and field 2 with a row of trees. Okay, that's easy. Use large stones to construct a stone stairway down to the lower park near the pool.
that's the
Use
same
large
as,
stones to construct a stone-
Chad's, that adds on to Chad's,
The do something with flat area north of pool?
correct.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'll probably group these next to each other,
Yeah,
but may have them be separated, just so, because that's a very specific,
yeah, and that's,
project.
that's such a, I
Okay.
don't think that'll happen.
Okay.
Well, that's
No,
also
these
an
are-
area that's gonna change depending on what the pool does, right? With tennis
I
courts?
think that's
or-
part of the Rollingwood Park. I don't think the pool.
That's not the pool, they don't own that.
Right,
Yeah.
but the pool's gonna do
That's right.
construction,
Yeah, they're gonna
so-
put in their tennis courts.
and I'm assuming some drainage
It could impact
remediation,
drainage.
I would hope.
Yeah,
So we'll make sure to coordinate with whatever drainage is happening with those improvements. Find a location on the park grounds to install basketball hoops. The hoops at the pool are not available unless one has pool membership. I love that one. Develop,
Yeah, me too.
anybody who has a child
Playing
or
basketball.
a grown-up that loves to shoot hoops.
yeah.
Develop more garden plots and native plantings around the park and provide irrigation as needed. More garden plots, okay. Find location around the park that can be developed into groves of 4 or 6 trees such as now, did we have I don't think we had, do we have any? No, we didn't have any tree planting before. Be funded to citizens, and since you're working on that memorial tree stuff, you'll be
Yeah.
able to help with that. Mary Elizabeth Kofers, trail repair, which includes working with experts on use of binding stable material to maintain sustainability of trail for the future.
My goal with everything I'm talking about is always gonna be sustainability and keeping down the maintenance for the
Mhm.
city staff.
Yeah.
And that's gonna include where we plant trees.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have trail repair on here, so I think that's a great one to add. Trees, we need trees planted for shade in the park, and I've worked with group to determine areas that shade would be needed most. All right, so, but I'll try and group the tree one with the other tree ones.
Okay?
Was super short. Improving the drainage around the lower pavilion, which is already included. Improving the safety and usability of the parking lot around the upper fields, which I'll just incorporate into some of what you've said, John, but
Mhm.
just, I don't necessarily, see that as being straight lines, but just that we need to do a parking plan. It's Wild West out there right
We had
now.
talked about this before, then they came, right afterwards, they came back at us with that milk and cookies thing and everything.
Yeah,
The hell in a handbasket after that, so we could address that again.
yeah, it'll be on the list.
Kevin has observed that when cars are parked there, if you have cars parked perpendicular to the drive, then you have people parallel parking, you can't get an emergency vehicle
That's
through
right,
there.
that's right.
So that's,
Yeah, we need to make sure
Some
there's a good
problems there.
emergency lane. And then maintaining healthy grass on the playing fields. I think that's already been addressed somewhere else, so I'll just add. All right, Victoria, proposed retaining wall and French drain by field house to address, and that's been
That's
done,
done.
right?
Yep.
Yep. Trees along eastern fence line of fields 3, 4, and 5. I think that's also,
Part of the trees.
Mhm. And then number 3 is obviously long-term develop plan to address drainage and all erosion issues throughout the park after requested comprehensive drainage thing. I love that. I think that's a
Very
good.
good. So
Now-
now,
Right.
Diane,
I really have nothing to add.
Okay, well, I think we have a really great list of things, and what my hope would be, I'll wait for Chad and Lori to see if there's any, I mean, Chad had his, so just Lori, I'll make sure to touch base with her. And then I'll kind of try to parse this down, and then get the list to Ashley and Desiree, and, make sure that, then I'll send it back out to all of you guys, and make sure that the wording has still, includes what your intention was.
that'd be good.
And then hopefully, what we would do is at our very next meeting, or even before that, if everyone feels good about it, I don't know if we can do a vote or how that works, but if I don't hear back from anyone that they're not happy with the list, then we'll send it out, and we'll have everybody, rank, we'll give directions, and you'll rank, prioritize what you
Yeah.
think is the most important. And then what you can do is basically, what I hope at the next meeting, we would actually bring a scorecard that would say, this is how it scored out.
Okay.
And this, again, does not mean we're doing the thing at the top, because that thing may cost us $300,000. I have no idea. But we're just scoring them, and then we'll see if we can bring consensus around, a couple of projects, that we all feel really good about.
I think that's a really good way, and if we can get on that right away, then we can keep this from dragging out, we can actually get something done.
Yep. Yeah, that's
I like
exciting.
that.
Is there a search underway for a drainage engineer? Is that,
That, I think that they're already talking to somebody.
okay,
If we have time for some of the proposals.
okay, so there's some candidates and, good, okay.
Well, and I guess also, as we're looking through this list, we know we have the 19,000 that we could do something with right away, but then also if there's a bigger number, we need to have that proposal. Ashley, would that be presented to council for the next budgetary season in March?
That's right,
Or
yes.
March?
In March, we start talking about it
Okay.
here, it'd probably go to council, April, May.
Okay, so we could kind of flesh that out if we had a
Mhm.
request.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep. And with Rollingwood Women's Club, if they wanna fund
Oh,
something.
that's true.
That's another, we'd need council to still approve it.
Right.
But, that's another option. I believe they have at least $20,000.
Okay.
So, just,
So what was that one?
The one that I was mentioning,
Yeah.
or the 20,000 from Rolling Women's? The-
she was just saying that,
The-
the 19,000, just keeping in mind that we have the 19,000.
And then we can propose for the next budgetary season, if we have a big project, we can go to council to request money for the next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or have it put on the list and approved anyway.
You know,
I did wanna let you know that Kevin did reach out to me and tell me he was not gonna be here at the meeting today. But that if we needed anything, or, that he'd be happy to help out.
Great.
so you're going to kind of consolidate and flesh out from what we've collected this meeting, and then the next meeting we'll, obviously, we won't do all of them, but we may find one or two which we can discuss at length.
I think it'll be helpful for us to all know how close we are to one another of prioritizing. Because sometimes when you do this exercise, you find that, you know, in the top 10, like, that there's 3 or 4 that are in everybody's top 10 or top 5. And so usually those are easy ones to say, oh, okay, if we're all pretty close already, then let's start with those. In the case, just as an example with WEA, we probably had 50 things or 25 things, and we basically said, okay, what are our top 10? Like, which made the top 10? And then we went across and said, were all the top 10 on everyone's list? And they were. And so, again, that just made it much shorter of what we were looking at.
Will we have a chance to, once you make this list, to prioritize these before we come to the next meeting? Is there any chance you can get the list?
I
out
will
and
really
fi-
try.
I know you're busy.
I might ask for some help over here. We'll see if they're able to. But yeah, no, I will try to get this list, since it's fresh in my mind, having gone over it, I will really try today to get at least the first draft of the list so that we can all agree on that. And then, the next step will be sending it out to everyone to prioritize. My only piece that might take a little longer is to get to Lori and make sure that all of those things are on her list as well.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Any other questions? Does anybody, the last thing on our agenda, I think, is the financials? Is that right? I'm sorry, what?
It's just a report.
Yeah,
We
no,
don't
Just
have it.
right.
attached to the,
But because I believe a budget is a reflection of what our values are, does anybody have questions about the budget or any concerns, et cetera?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Is our next meeting March 5th?
I think it's actually the second Tuesday, is that right?
Oh, good.
Yeah, oh, so that's a good question. Sorry, this one I needed to, and I knew there were several people who couldn't make next week, so that's why we moved it. So the next meeting will be, March 12th.
yeah, I'm out of town that day.
I
That's
was
spring
just gonna
break.
say, that is spring break.
Yeah.
So would we like to move it to the 5th or the 19th, or is that a possibility for staff?
I can't do the 5th.
Mm.
Okay,
What's
That
got
would
the,
still work though if the 5th doesn't. It's not our preference just because it's the day before council and we're preparing, but we can
Oh.
make that work if we need to.
I can't do the 5th. Is there any way we could do the 6th?
I could make the 6th worth of the city.
I think usually keeping it to the same day of the week is sometimes helpful when we're moving.
yeah.
We're okay with the 19th if we need to do
I
that.
can do the 19th.
Okay, let me send out to Chad
I
and
can
Lori
do the
also,
19th.
or can you send
We'll
out?
do that. We'll send
And just
out a
say
note.
which one gets the most people, 5th
Okay,
or 19th?
5th or 19th.
Yep.
Okay, we
It's
can
just
do that.
important meeting, so I hate to miss it.
That's true, yep. Can you join virtually on the 5th?
Possibly, possibly. It'll be kind of sketchy internet where I am.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see. We're gonna look at 5th and 19th and go
Perfect, I know.
with the
We'll go
most
with
people.
whoever can be.
Either one of those will work for me.
Okay, great. All right, any other questions? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Tried to make for a record fast one, just my first time, I can't say that all